Not Be Silenced, the show that allows people to be seen, to be heard, and to be human. I'm your host, Melissa Woodfork-White. In today's episode, we will talk about becoming a self-made millionaire with a self-made millionaire, Dr. D. Anthony Hayes. Sharing our stories allows us to encourage, inspire, motivate, uplift, and help people. There will be a special surprise at the end of the show. Be sure to listen all the way through for the details. Our special guest today is Dr. D. Anthony Miles. He is a millionaire serial entrepreneur, award-winning researcher, statistician, and professor, expert witness, business expert, and best-selling author. Dr. Miles is a nationally known startup marketing and forensic marketing expert that has won numerous awards. He has appeared in the national media for his expertise, was a visiting professor, and has presented his research at academic conferences around the country. Dr. Miles is the CEO and founder of Miles Development Industries Corporation, a consulting practice and venture capital acquisition firm. He is the executive producer and host of Game On Business Talk radio show. He received his PhD MBA in Entrepreneurship General Business from the University of the Incarnate Word, an MBA in International Business Marketing from Our Lady of the Lake University, and a BBA in Marketing from the University of Texas at San Antonio. Dr. Miles is going to share with us about becoming a self-made millionaire. Hi, Dr. Miles. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Ms. White. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Sounds like another person with that intro. I don't know that guy.
You get all of your flowers and accolades now.
That's all like
You've earned it. You have earned it. So thank you so much, Dr. Miles. Let's go ahead and jump in. How did you become a self-made millionaire? Tell us your story, your work ethic, and your expertise.
Well, it was a long journey, Miss White. You want me to call you Melissa? That sounds like your mom, right, Miss White? Well, Melissa, I tell you, it was a long journey. I was about 10 years off my goal. I set a goal to be a millionaire about 10 years, maybe 15 years, and I was off by 15 years. And it was a long journey. I had to find my way. I tried to use my education to open up doors for me. And this one, I'm going to share a lot with your readers. There's books that I read that inspired me to want to be a millionaire. And I think that some of the books that I'll share with you and the listeners, they can read those books and have access to them. And again, it wasn't one thing I did. It was many things that I did in terms of my journey to get to where I am now. But where do I start? That's probably the question I should ask you.
No, we want you to start at the beginning, because we know that as we grow up, it's not a normal thing to be like, I want to be a self-made millionaire. We know that we grow up being, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an entertainer. I want to be a sports athletic. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But you have fostered a successful career in becoming a self-made millionaire. Start at the beginning.
Well, I'll tell you an interesting story, a funny story. When I was finishing up my last year in college, I was working on my doctorate, and my advisor said, well, you're getting close to finishing. He asked me, what did I want to do after college? And I said, well, I want to be a millionaire. And he gave me this funny look like I wasn't serious. He goes, no, seriously. But I said, no, I want to be a millionaire. I want to build a $1 million consulting practice. I want to build, I want to acquire businesses, and I want to get in a venture acquisition. I originally wanted to go to law school. I didn't plan to get a PhD. I want to go to law school to study venture capital. And he just said, well, that's not realistic. That kind of made me mad.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Miles,
Yeah.
are you telling me this is not us growing up? This is not you growing up. This is you pursuing your PhD, and you're being told this at a professional adult age that it's not realistic. Tell us more.
Well, I'll say this, and hopefully your listeners will get some inspiration from this. Sometimes your dreams and goals are bigger than people's perceptions of you. Okay, meaning, well, I don't see you being a millionaire, or you got haters. And I always say, if you don't have no haters, you ain't doing anything. You ain't worked hard enough. Every endeavor in life, every stage of your life, there's going to be some people that either are jealous of what you're doing, are jealous of what you've done, or think that it's their right to tell you what you should do. And thank goodness I have some good parents that gave me, I have an interesting story. I had a high school counselor. She was a black counselor. Told me I wasn't college material, so I never wanted to go to college. And my dad made me go to college. I had no intention
Wow.
of going to college, and that helped me raise my daughters because I saw some of the same things they were telling kids in school. And there was one young lady, one of her teachers, that said my daughter was dyslexic, and I didn't believe that. Said she needs to be in special ed, and now my daughter's getting ready to work on her PhD. She's a speech pathologist.
Wow.
Um, my other daughter is a present student over at Georgia Institute of Technology, and I don't say that to brag. I say that because, what's the difference between being friends with your kids and being a parent to your kids? You said when you're their friends, like, well, don't worry about it, just wasn't your time. Or you say, no, you gonna work hard because if I got it, you gonna get it too. And a lot of times, we're conflicted as parents. We don't want to tell our kids what they should do. We tell them what they want to hear. And I've never been that guy. And I got angry again. The high school counselor telling me that. I didn't tell my parents. I should have, but I never wanted to go to college. I had no intentions of going to college. I could have that could have altered my course in my life. And again, I just had some parents that blessed me and that knew better. Like my dad said, in our family, we're college educated. You're going to get college educated too, and you're not going to not wherever you thought you had in your head not to go to college. That's not going to happen under my watch.
Yeah.
So
Well, I would tell you, Dr. Miles, you touched on a few gems there. The first
sure,
one is that it's very rare for a Black counselor to discourage you from going to college.
I
That's
know
unheard of.
that's
That's
unheard of.
unheard of because
Hmm.
I had a white counselor to discourage me from going to a historical Black college university,
That's absolutely
which I
terrible.
graduated from Howard University. And so
Absolutely.
for
Top
now, that is
HBCU.
common. That is common. That's the point that I'm making. It's uncommon for a Black counselor to tell a Black student to not go to college, but it is common for a white counselor to tell a Black student to not go to a HBCU. That's the first.
That's really interesting that you say that because I didn't get offended when I was told that, and I should have been offended. You don't tell somebody's kids that they're not college material. No, you know what? I had an interesting story. One of the teachers that I had that thought I was slow in junior high school, I have a buddy that's a librarian at the school, and in my second book, he wants a catalog and to put it in the library. So
Mm-hmm.
he ran into that teacher and he showed her my book and she freaked out. She goes, "That's him?" He goes, "Yeah." And he had the smirk on his face. And basically he was trying to send a message to her like, you know what? Never talk about what you think the kid is gonna do because they'll surprise you.
Yes. And I'm
Uh-huh.
in agreement with you.
Oh yeah.
Another gem that you touched on too that I can relate to, and I'm sure that my audience can relate to, is the fact that
Mhm.
parents want more for their children than what they have for themselves.
You got it. You hit that right on the head.
And
Hmm.
so, my parents, as most of my listeners already know and watchers already know, that both of my parents graduated high school. My dad was high school diploma, and my mom had 2 years of college. And they always instilled in us a good education. If
That's
you
what
don't
I'm
go to
saying.
college, you're gonna go to grade school. If you don't go to grade school, you're gonna get a career and start working.
That's right.
So there was
Exactly.
always that I want more for my children than I have for myself.
Yeah, and I had a problem with my family. My dad had three master's degrees, so he wasn't having it. And you know,
That's also unheard of, Dr. Miles.
yeah, And what I think what bothered me about that is my dad was extremely brilliant and extremely smart. I heard he had a photographic memory. He could read something one time and memorize it. And my mother told
Forever.
me an interesting story about him when he was in college. He went on a basketball scholarship. I'm not going to name the university. They're probably ashamed to hear this story right now. But he had a class, and he scored the highest grade on the test in the class. And a white professor accused him of cheating.
Now
And
that is common, Dr. Miles.
see, I grew up in a black neighborhood. I'm just now finding out how uncommon things are. Uncommon things are, Melissa.
We call those PWIs.
There you go.
Okay.
And yeah, and the professor accused them of cheating, and they went to the administration, and my dad got mad, and then they made him take the exam over. Because basically, I'm gonna clean it up for you. They said the Negroes don't make A's in my class. That's what they said to
I'm
themselves.
not surprised during
Uh
that
huh.
time, that
Yep.
period, and
Mhm.
post segregation integration.
Exactly. Well,
So
I think
I'm not
this
surprised
was
at that
the
one.
50s or 60s at the time, and then
Mm-hmm.
they made him retake the test because they just knew he cheated. He scored higher on the second test than he did the first test, and they said, "Okay, we need to leave him alone." And my father, he told no, my father was the one that shared the story with me. He told me that, and I never forgot that. And some of these institutions are hotbeds of racism, Melissa. You know this.
Oh yes,
And
because I went to an HBCU, Howard University,
absolutely,
as an undergraduate, got my bachelor's in business, but then I
absolutely.
went to a PWI for one of my, and here at Dr. Miles, I also have 3 advanced master degrees like your father.
Well, I'm sitting next to greatness here. Goodness. 3 master's degrees is better than PhD, I'll tell you that.
I always say, and by us being research based in our fields of study, that
Yes,
3 master degrees is equivalent to a PhD.
I totally agree with that. A PhD is nothing but a master's
And to not
degree
recognize it
in time.
is I'm not even gonna go there. We're not gonna go off on a tangent. We're gonna stay
Right.
focused, Dr. Miles. But you know where I'm going with this.
Absolutely. Why I think there should be a special designation for somebody that attained 3. You should probably be awarded a PhD just for getting 3. But you have the old guard that doesn't believe that. And,
Hmm.
and I tell my students, I have doctoral students that I mention, I tell them all the time, don't be impressed by me. Take what I've done as a template and work it for you. Maybe I can open up
Yes.
doors for you.
Yes, and that's
Because
what I do too, Dr. Miles.
absolutely.
I'm like paying it forward. We're paying it forward. We're saying
Hmm.
that if we did it, you can do it, and if you can't do it, you'll find a way to do it for yourself. So we are
Absolutely.
paying it forward. And so, with that being
Exactly. I
said,
love
Dr.
that.
Miles, tell us the most important steps that you did to becoming a self-made millionaire.
Sure. First thing that I would tell you, number one, is I'm a voracious reader. And I can tell you one of the books that I read that really, I read 3 books. And I'll tell you the one that really stood out to me is I read a book by a guy named Reginald Lewis. He wrote a book called Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? And Reginald Lewis was the one that started TLC Beatrice. And he was close to being the first black billionaire, and he died before he reached the status, I believe. And that was one of the books that influenced me. And I love that book. I actually recommended that book to everybody. And I'm gonna drop some gems on you today. I'm
All
gonna drop
right
some gems on you.
now.
He talked about when he started the company, he was a Harvard lawyer, and he was talked about when he studied Harvard law in Harvard. He wanted to go into venture capital, which is funding businesses or startups, and that's what he did. And he will go around acquiring companies. And I said that's what I want to do, and that inspired me. And that's why I said, okay, how did he do it? What was the template that he used? First, he started his own company.
Hmm.
Then he created his wealth. He obviously had a niche, and then he went from that to acquiring companies. And I like the philosophy because it was like it's easier for you to buy a company than for you to start one from zero.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
That is true.
And that could be through
Because
franchising.
we're both business owners.
Absolutely. Thank
So
you.
that is true.
So when you start a business, you got to go through the learning curve. You got to go
Mhm.
through getting clients. You got to go through the, those things, scaling the business. And I was fascinated because I never heard that before till I read his book. I didn't know people were doing that. And then another book I read was called The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. I think he passed away. And he wrote a book about how millionaires actually lived. And I try to model my life how some millionaires live, like live within your means. You get
Yes.
your paycheck, don't go to the club or trick off your money, you know, and millionaires don't go buy Mercedes Benzes. They buy American made cars. They buy
Yes.
cars that are
Ford,
reasonable.
GMC.
They're, they and I was, when you hear somebody say they're a millionaire, you hear somebody say, well, he don't look like a billionaire. There's the guy, Dr. Stanley gave story after story about all these beliefs that we had about millionaires
Hmm.
were just unfounded and untrue. Millionaires don't go buy the most expensive house in the neighborhood. They go buy a modest house in the neighborhood.
Yes.
They don't go send their kids to private school. Most likely, they send their kids to public school as long as the school
Yes.
is within their neighborhood and decent. And there was so many things and myths in there that I found that he just debunked about millionaires. One thing he found he had in this book, I'll never forget that. I'm so embarrassed to tell you this story. He said uh, millionaires don't go buy brand new shoes all the time. They buy nice loafers. He gave a profile of one millionaire guy who used to go to Goodwill, go get the shoes resold and get the shoes fixed up. He would go wear them, and I actually did that. And I said, wow. So basically, if you read the book, you pick up philosophies of
Mhm.
millionaires, how they act. Millionaires don't do this. Millionaires don't do that. Millionaires don't go telling people how much money they have and all that type of
Mhm.
thing. And he talked about how they pick spouses. You know, if your wife is
Oh,
educated, you
yes.
should be educated, right? How am I going to build with something? And I always say, some men got mad at me for saying this. I said, there's no such thing as a no good woman. A woman is
Mhm.
no good because a man made her that way.
Wow. Well, Dr. Miles, I do have to interrupt you on this one because of the simple fact that I have to clarify for my audience
Yes,
that educated is not necessarily school educated. Educated
right.
could be life educated, but you have to
Absolutely.
be on the same page in that
On the same
same book
page.
to
Yes,
educate and support each other to build that lifestyle, to build that dreams together. Go ahead, Dr. Miles.
absolutely. Malcolm X, if you know his story, Malcolm X read books while he was incarcerated, and he
Hmm.
was debating Harvard professors and beating them.
Yes, I do
What?
remember.
How did he get to that point? School is fine, but reading is what you should self-educate yourself. You should be reading a book every month. You should be reading biographies. I like nonfiction. I can't say you shouldn't read
Oh
fiction,
my gosh, Dr. Miles. Same here. I love nonfiction. I write nonfiction. My books
right?
are my published books are
Right?
nonfiction. I'm with you on that one.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm bad. Probably got it from my dad. My dad used to make us go to the bookstore with him, and he would go, and he would leave books on the coffee table, and I'm not saying I don't like fiction. I just think I don't have a use for it if it's not teaching me
It's
anything.
entertaining.
Yeah, it's entertaining, and I think if you take that philosophy, you could also say that most fictions are based on things that actually happen to people.
That's true.
But I like
Especially
nonfiction,
historical fiction.
historical fiction, exactly. I like to think when I read a book, it made me smarter about something that I didn't know about, and I can use it, I can weaponize it, I can take something I learned and apply it to my life. So the other book that I read was called The Millionaire Mind by Thomas Stanley. I think he had a co-author for that one.
Hmm.
Talked about how millionaires, he got more specific, the book was bigger, how they find a spouse, what type of woman they look for, you know, you know, when you pick your queen, are your ships aligned? Are y'all
Hmm.
going in the same direction? Um, where did you meet your spouse? What do y'all do together? Are you a team?
Hmm.
Um, and when you talk about black people being in love, they nothing like a black woman. They nothing like a black woman support her man when
Yes.
he's trying to do something. You know, a man shouldn't get
And
mad
vice
till after,
versa.
right? Till after he's 35. We got all that foolishness out of his system, you
Yes.
know, to where you got some sense. And then, you know, you're thinking, okay, when I pick my spouse, I want to be a total in alignment with them, with that young lady that I'm picking as my wife. And again, you know, you learn from your mistakes, learn, you know, you kiss frogs and everything. But the thing about the other part I want to say is those three books that I read,
Mm-hmm.
and one more book, I got one more for you. I read a book called The Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote the Rich Dad
Oh,
Poor
now
Dad.
I'm familiar with him.
Yes,
Yes.
I love that book. I would recommend that book to my friends, The Cash
And
Flow
I do
Quadrant.
too. I
And
co-sign with you.
that's what he basically solidified what Reginald Lewis had did or what he said. I'd rather be a business owner than being self-employed, according to the cash flow quadrant. You know, the E, the S, and the B and the I. The
Mm-hmm.
people on the right side of the quadrant are your millionaires or billionaires. Your people on the left side of the quadrant are the people that are broke all the time. And I know you have to start somewhere in your life. Maybe you have to be
Mm-hmm.
self-employed to end up being a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
But see, when you're self-employed, if you get sick, your business shuts down, right?
Yes.
If you're a business owner, somebody gets sick in your business, you just replace them. You know that. You
Yeah.
know, I know that sounds ugly,
Well,
but
no, but it's reality, Dr. Miles. It's
it's
reality.
absolutely it's
It's
reality.
reality. And then it's also about what you touched on earlier is becoming that self-millionaire. How are you going to get there if you don't start? You can start, like you said, to be self-employed, but you eventually have to expand to a business owner where you can employ others so that your business can continuously run. So when you are sick.
Absolutely. And then when your game is tight, excuse me, when you get your game tight, then you start looking at open up different locations for your business. You
Mm-hmm.
taking that one business mind that you had a business model, you expanding it. Those are the people that buy franchises,
Mm-hmm.
people that buy real estate, people that buy rental property. And then what also got me into the cash flow quadrant is when he said the difference between passive income and residual income.
That's
Passive income,
another conversation for another
right,
day right there because I'm all about that passive income, your money
right,
making money for you.
right. I believe he calls it linear income and passive income.
Mm-hmm.
Linear income is when you do something once, you get paid once.
Mm-hmm.
Passive income is when you do something once, you get paid multiple times. See, if we can change the mindset of our people to think like entrepreneurs and think like business owners, we could change the destiny of what we do in our communities around the world. And
I'm in
what I
agreement, Dr. Miles.
absolutely,
I'm
and
in agreement.
I love to see us being prosperous. I love to see us be millionaires. And what good is it me to be a millionaire if I don't go help 10 other people try to be millionaires? You
And
know?
that leads me into my next question, Dr. Miles.
Yes,
To my
yes,
next
sure,
question.
sure.
How does your business, Miles Development Industries Corporation, help people to become self-made millionaires?
Well, I probably my business to help other people is probably from an advisory perspective. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I do workshops, like if I work for professional athletes or people that are interested about how did you do it? How did you start your, you know, it's interesting. You become a millionaire. You never thought people want to interview and ask you how you did it because there's so many ingredients that I didn't. And I'm not a professional athlete. I didn't get a major movie role. I didn't sign an endorsement deal. Yeah, that's one way to be a millionaire, but I did it. I did it through sweat, you know, equity. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say I help people by either, you know, getting on your platform and speaking to them, or if someone asks me to come and speak to a group of people about, okay, tell us about your story. How did you do it? That's the way I give back. Because I'll say this again and again and again. It doesn't make any sense for me to be one black millionaire. Now that I'm a millionaire, what do you think my next goal is? I want to be a multimillionaire.
Of course.
I want to own property. I want to own real estate. I was looking at trying to buy a Chick-fil-A franchise. Now,
Go for it.
one of the some of the people I told, they were like, Nah, that's not possible. And a lot of times there's something called a discouragement fraternity, and that's people that think they just know everything they should have to tell you that you can't do this, you can't do that, and then you end up doing it, and then they go, okay, well, yeah, you got lucky. Well, luck
No, that's
is
not luck. That's
no,
hard work, sweat,
yep,
commitment, passion,
and being at the right
tears.
place at the right
You
time,
know, hello?
right? And I always tell people this, and you're gonna love this, Melissa. I got the same 24 hours you do. What I did with my 24 hours is not what you did with your 24 hours.
Yes.
So if you get mad at me because I did something with my 24 hours that you didn't do, then I think you need to point the finger at yourself. Because when I was going to school, like you were going to study for your business degrees at Howard and the other universities that you went to, they were out there going partying, hanging out,
Decisions.
freaknik. Yeah, well, I'm older than you, freaknik and
Oh, no, no,
whatnot.
no. Don't, you know the slogan.
Yep.
Okay, don't get it twisted. I graduated from Howard University in 1999. I know about
Okay.
Freaknik.
Okay.
I went
Okay.
there the whole time.
Absolutely. And I
And
go
I
to
know
Atlanta
about
all
Black
the time.
College Week down in Daytona, Florida when it was popping.
See, I don't see my crime is I went to PWI in the undergrad. And I wish I would have had the experience of going to HBCU because I think it would have probably I would have got more support. I always had to fight for everything,
Hmm.
especially in PWI because you have to deal with a community of people that don't see you the way you see yourself. And
Yes,
I
and
see
they can't relate.
they
They
cannot relate
cannot
to you.
relate. They don't come from your demographics. They don't come from your
Hmm.
background. And they think that because of their demographics and background that everybody can do it the way that they do it. And that is not reality, Dr.
And
Miles.
I totally agree with that. And I made sure because I had an interesting experience in my doctor program, I was gonna have to get an attorney because they were doing playing dirty pool.
Mm.
Yeah, and so I told my daughters, I said, I want y'all to go to HBCU. I don't want you to deal with this kind of stuff. And I see the difference because both of my daughters just graduated. I see the confidence that they have. I
Hmm.
see the pep in their step that they have. I see the mental uh, brilliance that they have because they went to HBCU. And I can't speak enough about going to HBCU. I wish that I've had that experience.
Well,
I would.
I will
Hmm.
tell you this, Dr. Miles, and I will say Howard to the day I die and then some.
Absolutely.
Howard taught me and everybody else that went through the School of Business to be entrepreneurs. They taught us how, yeah, go work for the Fortune 500 company, but to
That part.
leverage your income and invest and start your own business, your own company, so that you can eventually own your time.
I can't
And let me
say
tell you
preach that
something,
enough.
and that's exactly what I do, Dr. Miles. I'm still working on becoming a millionaire.
Well,
But let me
we're
tell you
gonna have a
something.
training program for
I
you.
leverage my income so that I can own my own time in my business.
That's what I'm talking about, and
And
I
I'm
love that they taught you that
and
because
I will
we
tell you something else too, Dr. Miles. And I do
yes.
apologize, but you got me excited over here.
Oh,
I
that's
will tell
good.
you something too, is that I've never heard a millionaire, a multimillionaire, or a billionaire say that they are a millionaire, a multimillionaire, or a billionaire. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr.
That's right.
Miles.
They don't.
I've always said that I'm the type of person, professional, that if I'm rich, you are not going to know that I'm rich.
That's right.
Do you hear
Because
what I'm
you
saying?
attract the wrong people to you, and you heard of the law of attraction. You
Mm-hmm.
want to attract people that want to come to you with opportunities, like talk to you about buying a franchise, talk to you about buying property in Canada, talk to you about getting in on this real estate development in your area, talk about buying oil rights. See, that's now when you up your game,
Mm-hmm.
now your money works for you. If you listen to the cash flow quadrant theory, you don't work for your money. Now your money works for you.
Yes.
You so
Yes.
exactly. So when you and your husband go somewhere, he just put it on that black card, and y'all, everybody start acting different. We whip out that black card.
Oh, of course. Well, you know what? It's not even just the black card. It's any
Uh
card
huh.
that doesn't have a limit. Because when we
That's
whip out
right.
that American Express, them eyes get big.
That's right.
Because to this day, not a lot of people can have an American Express. And one of the things that American Express did was now they created cars that people can have with limits. Well, back in the day, that was not the premise of their company. So to have an American Express card with no limit for your personal and for your business, okay? But Dr. Miles, we are going to have to wrap this up. Man, I'm going to have to bring you back.
Oh, absolutely. But let me leave you with this, Melissa.
All right.
So let anybody tell you what you can't do, or why is it that you're doing something that they can't do. God didn't put you on this earth for other people's enjoyment. God put you on this earth to be the best you can be. And if you want something, you'll figure out a way to do it. You'll get mentors. And that's one of the regrets that I had. I wish I had more mentors, because I could have been a millionaire a lot quicker.
And I'm in agreement with you, Dr. Miles. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Miles. I will be sure to leave all of your contact information, your website, and so forth with this podcast so that everybody can reach out to you. And I also recommend that everybody reach out to you, because although you shared with us just a small portion of those gems that you dropped today, we appreciate that. So with that being said, Dr. Miles, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I really appreciate it. I had a blast. Thank you.
All right. So next week, we'll continue to discuss and have conversations about real experiences, personal and professional, stories that need to be shared, seen, and heard that makes us human. The truth will not be silenced. To be seen, to be heard, and to be human. The surprise, if you like or leave a positive comment about this show, you will get a shout out. This includes businesses, products, services, organizations, and events. Following the link in the show notes lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you and help support our show. Buzzsprout is the best way to launch a professional podcast. Want to ask a question, be a guest, or subscribe to this podcast, The Truth Will Not Be Silenced? Click on the show link. Thank you for joining us.